All right, 6.1b, day 1. We are talking about, how do I apply the area and circumference formulas? To find missing information. So the vocabulary that we see here, circumference, that's the perimeter. That means like a fence around something. We talked about the diameter, a chord that goes through the center of the circle, a radius, which is from the center of the circle to some point on the circle. The circumference, again, being the distance around a circle. Those are all things that we talked about in our last unit. So the circumference formula, there are two of them. They're kind of the same thing, but we write it two ways. Either circumference equals 2 pi times the radius, or we can say circumference is pi times the diameter. Just depends on which number we're given, because 2 times the radius, that kind of is the diameter. It's the same thing. And then area, remember this is like flooring or carpet. So when we talk about area, it's a squared measurement. So area equals pi times the radius squared. Those are formulas that you should have seen many times in the last couple of years. So nothing too new. We're just going to apply it in a couple of different ways. So first of all, notice it says round to 2 decimal places. That's important. We want to keep our accuracy and our numbers to the same degree of specificity. So we have a circular window that has a diameter of 1.2 meters. We want to calculate the circumference. Remember that means perimeter. And the area of the window. So I'm going to do both. Since I have a diameter, then I'm going to use, for circumference, I'm going to use pi d. So that's pi times 1.2. And I would use the calculator button for pi. Don't do 3.14. It changes the number in decimal places sometimes. So we get that our circumference is 3.77 meters. Again, meters is or circumference is in single units, not plural units. So the area of a window, so here we're going to use this formula. So area equals pi r squared. I don't have a radius, I have a diameter. That means I need to know the radius is the diameter divided by 2, which in this case is 0.6. So I have pi times 0.6 squared. Don't forget your order of operations, do the squared first, times pi, again using the pi key, and I get area is 1.13 meters squared. Now we're going to work backwards. I'm giving you the area, which you can't see on my page, but I'll write it in a minute. And we're going to find the radius. So area equals pi r squared. So the number that I have, 153.9 equals pi r squared. So first we divide by pi, and we get that r squared equals 48.987 blah blah blah. Have to take the square root to get rid of the square so that I get r equals 7.0 miles. This is a radius, not an area, so we don't want to have any square units for this problem. All right, these next 6 problems, all part of example 1, are just more applying the formula as is. So circumference equals pi d. which is pi times 6, 18.85 centimeters. Again, we're doing 2 decimal places. Area equals pi r squared. R is 3 because it's half. So that's pi 3 squared equals 28.27 centimeters squared. Got to write smaller. Maybe if I do this. For this one, this is D. That means that R is 7.5. So my circumference is pi D, pi times 15, which is 47.12 centimeters, because it says all the units are in centimeters. Area is pi r squared, pi times 7.5 squared, which is 176.7 centimeters squared. Here's my diameter. Radius equals 2.4. Circumference equals pi d. Pi times 4.8. Put that in parentheses so it looks better. 15.08 centimeters. Area equals pi r squared, which is pi times 2.4 squared, which is 18.10 centimeters squared. So these problems are just about applying what you've been given. Now this time I'm only given the radius. So this is my radius, but one of the formulas I'm using requires a diameter. So I need to know that the diameter is 7.6, because that would be like having 2 of these. So you need to make sure that you're using radius or diameter and which one. So circumference equals pi d. That's pi times 7.6, 23.88 centimeters. Area equals pi r squared. That's pi times 3.8 squared, which is 45.36 centimeters squared. Again, this is my radius, so that when I do this and get 20, I get a diameter of 40. Circumference equals pi d, pi times 40, which is 125.66 centimeters. Area equals pi r squared, pi times 20 squared, which is 1256.64 centimeters squared. I know it seems redundant to do these questions over and over again, but it will make a difference in your familiarity with both the formulas and how to use the information that you've been given. So this is my radius. The diameter is 4.7 times 2, so that's 9.4. Here's my diameter. So circumference equals pi d, pi times 9.4, that's a 9, equals 29.53 centimeters. Units are super important. Don't leave those off if you're given them. And area is pi r squared. The radius was 4.7 squared, which is 69.40 centimeters squared. So again, we're just doing this to practice the formulas. That will be the key to most of this unit, is being able to use the formulas correctly, because it's just plugging in the numbers into the right place. All right, a couple word problems. So we're looking for the diameter. and I'm given a circumference. So that means I'm going to use the formula. Circumference equals pi d. There's a d, there's my c. So 18.8 equals pi d. I'm going to divide by pi, and I get that my diameter is 5.98 meters. There's my units. Oops. There's my units, and remember at the beginning of the page it said that all things should be done with 2 decimal places. The last question in this section. Find the diameter of a circle with an area. So that has to be a step further, because the formula for area is pi r squared. But I'm going to need a d when I'm done. So make sure that you solve that way. So here's my area. So 181.5 equals pi r squared. I'm going to divide by pi, and I get r squared equals 57.773, and it keeps repeating because it's not a perfect square. Take the square root of both sides, and I get that r is 7.6. That's not what I ask you to find, though. I ask you to find the diameter. So diameter is 2r, which is 2 times 7.6, which is 15.2 yards. Again, make sure that your yards are not squared and that you fill out the question appropriately. Answer the question appropriately, I mean. All right, so that's enough to do 6.1b day 1, area and circumference. It's just a review of how to do that. And I'll see you in the next video.